What if I told you that in the near future, the people who thrive emotionally, professionally, and spiritually won't be the smartest in the room or the ones with the longest resumes, but the ones who know how to feel, not just feel good, but feel everything and not run from it. Because the world is changing, and with it, the definition of success is being It's no longer about how much you know. It's about how well you know yourself. It's no longer about how fast you respond. It's about how deeply you can pause, reflect, and choose your response. Daniel Goleman, the man who brought emotional intelligence into mainstream psychology, said it simply: if your emotional abilities are in hand, no matter how smart you are, you won't get very far. Let that sink in. Emotional intelligence isn't optional anymore. It's essential. And as we move into 2025, it's becoming clear. The people who will rise, lead, and truly live are those who have learned to master their internal world first, because in a world filled with distractions, projections, and pressure, self-awareness is the new superpower. But most people, they live on autopilot. They react instead of respond. They suppress emotions instead of understanding them. They wear masks instead of looking in the mirror. They confuse productivity with purpose and wonder why they feel empty, even when they're successful. Here's the hard truth. You can build a meaningful life on top of emotional denial. You can't lead others if you can't even face yourself. And yet, we were never really taught how to feel. We were taught to fix, to numb, to move on, to pretend we're okay when we're falling apart. But the real leaders of tomorrow, they're the ones who pause, who breathe. They're the ones who know that being human isn't a weakness. It's the foundation of connection, leadership. So let's break this down. Daniel Goleman identified 5 core components of emotional intelligence: self-regulation, motivation, empathy, social skills, and here's why they matter more now than ever. First, self. It's the ability to recognize your own emotions, not just what you feel, but why you feel it. It means being honest about your patterns, your triggers, your needs. Without self-awareness, you're just reacting to life. You blame others. You run from discomfort. You live in loops, not breakthroughs. But when you develop self-awareness, you begin to see yourself clearly, and that clarity becomes power. Not the power to control others, but the power to lead yourself. This is what Jung meant when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." You see, emotional intelligence is not just about being nice. It's about being conscious. It's about waking up from your default settings and choosing how you want to feel, respond, and live. Now, the second core is self-regulation. This is where most people fall short, because life will test you. People will trigger you. Plans will fall apart. Stress will find you. And if you haven't learned how to regulate your inner world, you'll spend your life trying to control the outer one. But here's what emotionally intelligent people understand. You can't always control what happens, but you can always control how you meet it. And that changes everything. This is what Susan David, Harvard psychologist and author of Emotional Agility, teaches. Discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life. You don't run from your emotions. You let them speak. You stay curious, not judgmental. You ask, what is this feeling trying to teach me? You don't let your anger explode, but you don't ignore it either. You, Dante, pretend to be fine. But you also, Dante, let pain define your story. You feel, you process, you choose your next step. That's real power. Now, imagine if more people lived this way. If more leaders led this way. If more parents, partners, friends, and professionals regulated instead of reacted. What kind of world would that be? That's why this matters. Because emotional intelligence isn't just personal, it's contagious. The third core, motivation. But not motivation like hustle culture teaches. Not the toxic grind until you die mindset. Not the constant pressure to do more, be more, prove more. No. Real motivation is intrinsic. It's born from alignment, not performance. It's about doing what matters, not just what impresses. Emotionally intelligent people are driven by values, not validation. They know their why. They know their purpose. And they protect their energy by saying no to things that drain it. That's not laziness. That's wisdom. Because when you are aligned, you don't need external pressure to move forward. You are pulled by something deeper, something real. And this is where everything begins to shift. If this resonates with you so far, leave a comment. I choose self-awareness over autopilot. Let's flood this algorithm with depth, honesty, and intention. Let's talk about the fourth and most misunderstood pillar of emotional intelligence. In a time when we are more connected than ever, it's ironic how disconnected we truly feel. We scroll endlessly. We send emojis instead of emotions. We reply faster, but we understand less. Why? Because genuine empathy takes presence. And presence is a lost art. You can't fake empathy. You can't perform connection. You have to actually care. You have to listen with the intention to understand, not to respond. You have to put down your ego and pick up your attention. This is where emotional intelligence becomes relational power. It's the ability to step into someone else's experience without losing yourself. Carl Jung once said, "Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people." True empathy is born when you've sat with your own suffering long enough that you no longer judge others for theirs. That's why the most emotionally intelligent people are rarely the loudest in the room. They're the most tuned in. They ask deeper questions. They notice the tone behind the words. They see the pain behind the anger. They hear what wasn't said. And when you develop empathy, something miraculous happens. Your relationships transform. Why? Because people don't want perfection. They want presence. They don't want to be impressed. They want to be understood. In a world that teaches us to win arguments, empathy teaches us to hold space. And holding space for yourself and for others is a rare and revolutionary act. Now let's move to the fifth pillar. Social skills. Not just charm, not just small talk, but real, authentic, connective skills. The ability to build trust, to navigate conflict without destruction, to inspire without manipulating, to disagree without dehumanizing. These are the skills that leaders of the future will be measured by. In 2025, success won't look like intimidation. It will look like influence with integrity. And social skills grounded in emotional intelligence are the key to that. Here's the truth most people miss. You can have the best ideas in the world, but if you don't know how to connect, communicate, and co-regulate, you'll lead no one. This is why companies are now training their leaders in emotional intelligence, why schools are integrating it into curriculums, why therapists and coaches are shifting from fixing people to helping them feel and integrate. Because emotional intelligence isn't soft, it's strategic, it's sustainable, it's what builds resilient teams, deep friendships, lasting love, and meaningful legacy. But here's where we go deeper, and this is where Jung's wisdom becomes vital. Because emotional intelligence isn't just about managing your day-to-day, it's about meeting your shadow. It's about recognizing the parts of you that you've suppressed, the fear, the shame, the jealousy, the unhealed pain, and learning how to sit with it without letting it control you. Jung called this process individuation. It's the path of becoming whole, not perfect, not popular, but integrated, because if you don't acknowledge your shadow, you'll project it. You'll see in others what you refuse to admit in yourself. You'll criticize what you secretly struggle with. You'll sabotage what you don't feel worthy of. You'll fear what you haven't healed. But when you become emotionally intelligent, for real, not performatively, you begin to reclaim those parts of yourself. You stop pretending. You stop performing. You stop running. And that's when everything changes. You become safe within yourself. And that inner safety becomes your strength. You no longer need constant validation. You no longer chase love that hurts. You no longer tolerate environments that shrink your soul. Because you've learned the deepest secret of all. Peace isn't found in controlling your world. Peace is found in understanding yourself. And from that peace, you lead. Not with fear, not with ego, but with presence. This is what Brown speaks of when she says, "Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change." It takes vulnerability to admit your fears, to speak your truth, to let people see who you really are. But that vulnerability, when practiced with emotional intelligence, becomes unstoppable power. If this resonates with you, drop in the comments. I choose presence over perfection. Let's remind each other, and the algorithm, what matters most. Because emotional intelligence isn't about having no emotions, it's about having the courage to own them. And in a world that feeling deeply is rebellion. So here we are. You've made it to this point in the video, which already tells me something powerful about you. You don't just want more information, you want transformation. You don't just want to learn, you want to become. And that's exactly what this path offers. But only if you choose it. Because, let's be honest, the world around you isn't slowing down. It's not going to hand you peace, clarity, or connection. You have to build that from the inside out. You have to decide that emotional intelligence isn't just a night. It's the foundation of your relationships, your purpose, your peace, your success. In 2025, the people who truly thrive will be those who learn to sit with discomfort, choose self-awareness over blame, and lead their lives from the inside, not from outside approval. Carl Jung said something most people never forget once they hear it. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens. And maybe that's exactly what you're doing now. Waking up from the pressure to always be strong. Waking up from the need to please everyone. Waking up from the fear of being fully seen. Waking up from the loop that says, I'm only enough when I'm perfect. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be real. To be aware. To be grounded. To be present. And in that presence, you will find what no achievement can give you. Peace, power, and purpose. Let me ask you something deeply important. What if 2025 became the year you stopped chasing what you think you should be, and finally became who you actually are? What if this was the year you stopped reacting to life, and started creating your own? What if instead of numbing, you started noticing? Instead of blaming, you started breathing. Instead of fixing everything outside you, you started listening to what's already inside, because it's already there. Your clarity, your worth, your truth. It's not missing. It's just been buried under noise, pressure, and fear. But now, you know better. Now, you understand what success in this new era truly means. It's not titles. It's not numbers. It's not image. It's emotional integrity. It's conscious connection. It's waking up and staying awake. So here's your invitation. If this video stirred something in you, if you felt seen, understood, or even challenged, then you're exactly the kind of person this space is for. Subscribe now, not just for more content, but to be part of a movement of people who want to lead with presence, not pressure, with soul, not ego, with courage, not fear. Every week, I'll be sharing videos like this, emotional reflections designed to help you grow from the inside out. So hit that button, turn on the notifications, leave a comment with your truth. Because the more people wake up to this truth, the more we create a world worth living in. And you, yes, you are part of that shift. Comment below. Emotional intelligence is my superpower. Let's flood this space with truth, intention, and inner ether. Thank you for being here. And remember, the most powerful journey you'll ever take is the one back to yourself. See you in the next video.